That's my Laurel and Hardy look.
Nice to see you, boys.
Hi.
Nice
How
to
we
see
doing?
you.
What number?
All
What,
right, aye.
what number of show is this we're on here?
It's
This
5 or
number
6.
7.
Fuck knows, I don't know.
We don't even know that, do we? Anyway,
I'll say 6.
6. You're right. It's 6. I've got it official. So this is show number 6, and we've got a really special person on this one. I mean,
Yep.
Dan and I have got some personal memories with him. I don't know if you've got anything with him, Brian. Have you crossed paths at all?
Yeah, I slept with him when I was 16, mate.
I thought there was
to
something,
tell anyone
but
that.
he never ever discussed you once. You know that.
No, it was obviously crap.
But I've heard him talk about. I've seen a few of his podcasts, and I love it. By the way, I love it when he bridges between the technical element, because a couple of the things that I mentioned to you, Dan, one of the plugins that I use, this guy did a preset for it, and it's fucking brilliant. But he does a really good crossover of to what that kind of bridge between creative musicians playing together in a studio as a working tool, which is really what I feel strong about, because a lot of the things that we do, well, that I do, I really take it from gear. I take it from bits of software. I take it from synthesizers. I get inspired with stuff as much as I do with people. But this guy really knows how to tell a story about how people can kind of make stuff together. But I would say this. I've heard him say as well, his name's a bit gay. You know, when he was at school. Yeah, if you think that name. Now, if this were independent Scotland, for example, and I had a big chunk of land with lochs and valleys on it, I would name a loch after this guy. I would call it Loch Lillywhite, right? And I think that's got a nice tone to it.
That's a tampon.
Let me introduce this guy who literally is the king of enthusiasm, and it's Steve Lillywhite.
Come on down, Steve.
How you doing, Steve?
Hello.
And Brian, yes, it was me, and I am a little bit gay, but you know, not that gay. So it's
not as gay as I am, Steve.
And he's no kidding, by the way.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Steve.
Okay. That's great. So, how are we? I know.
Yeah.
I know 2 of the 3 of you, and it's as if we haven't. It's as if. Look at you. You both look more handsome than you did back then.
I'm saying more handsome when I take my glasses off, but I just can't fucking see.
No. Keep them on, Dan. Keep them on.
That would be hard, Steve. Ugly bastards back in the day.
Yeah. So Steve, this is Brian. Brian was in our first 5 albums as a drummer.
I'm aware, and my favourite album, I have to say, I love New Gold Dream. I thought that was. That's why I wasn't on that, Steve.
Nice research there, Steve.
On you go, Jim.
Good start.
There was another 3 drummers on it. They had to use 3 drummers.
What's that?
We had to use 3 drummers because Brian had left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I apologise, but
that's all right.
Yeah, but I know you.
I'm mistaken for Mel quite often.
I spoke to him the other day,
especially in the dark.
You spoke to Mel? You were saying
I spoke to Mel. He was just briefly. He's well. Yeah. Well, we didn't speak. No, we texted, because that's what's great about technology. It allows you to be a little bit close to someone, but not incredibly close to them, and I love that.
Yeah.
It does. It's especially WhatsApp. I love WhatsApp, and if you ever WhatsApp me, guys, you will get an answer within 2 minutes, because it's I love it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
As you know, Mick, as you know.
So let's talk about what we're. Oh, there we go. This is all the stuff that you did. All these acts that you've worked on. I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff in there.
I need that for a start. And
look at that. Can't you see the Rolling Stones in the middle? Is there anything missing out of that? Can you see
that? Push in the top left-hand corner.
Oh,
Fish.
I don't see Fish, and I don't see Dave. I think Dave, top left.
Fish. Fish. PHIS.
Fish.
Yeah, I see Fish, Counting Crows. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's not bad.
What Ultravox album did you do, Steve?
I did the first 2. I did the first one and the second one, the first two.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, tell you the story actually. The studio I was a little tape op and an assistant in. I was allowed to. There he is. You see, I was allowed to take in my own artists to do some test recordings, and I did. There was this band called Tiger Lily, and and they eventually became Ultravox, the original Ultravox, and I was doing a load of demos with them, and they got a deal with Island Records, and they liked working with me, but Island said you need to have a name producer, so I met Brian Eno on those sessions. And from then on, it was, you know, they didn't have a hit record, but people liked it. And I carried on from there, really. It was great.
Those first two albums were amazing.
They were okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rock.
But I tell you what wasn't on an album that was great was Young Savage. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Great bass line,
Derek. Big
Great
influence on us.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
they were a
he was a-
big influence on us, weren't they?
He was an influence of mine as well.
Warren Can.
Chris Cross, aye.
Yeah, Warren was a strange. He was a lovely man, but he was
Yeah.
not your typical drummer. You know, he like my brother was a drummer, and we've just let him go. He's just died. And
Oh God.
yeah, it was really sad actually. And I was talking to people at his thing, and he made the problem of when Martin Rushent produced the Members. He was the drummer in the Members, and they did Sound of the Suburbs. But Martin Rushent did an album with them, and he wouldn't let my brother drum. Now, instead of my brother going, okay, I'm going to learn to do, and this is what Warren did. I'll learn to do the drum machine with art, to learn to program as well as drumming. I'll widen what I'm doing. He was more the typical drummer who would, fucking hell, I don't want, you know, he won't let me drum. So he eventually left the music business, which was a pity because he was a great drummer. And but Warren was always that sort of drummer who would be twiddling
embracing technology with it. Yeah, I remember that. He had the wee drum machine at the Sound live as well, didn't he?
Yeah. And he would do that in the studio. And but you know,
Steve, for some strange reason, when Simple Minds, when we were doing albums and the drum machines first came out, Mick was given the drum machines.
I was. It sounds like I was giving it. Like, Mick, you take that.
No, I'm just saying. I know, but it wasn't expected of me to do the programming for some strange reason.
Isn't that weird?
Well,
yeah. But did you do programming? Did you learn?
I did 2 albums programming, Steve.
Yeah,
I was as much into technology as Mick.
No, but listen, Brian, a lot of that was really because we were still doing stuff without you in the room. You know, we're still kind of doing early creation demos and stuff. We'd have a wee drum box just to tick away in the background. That was everything wasn't there all the time.
No, but some of the program you did on the drum machine stuff and the Dr. Rhythm or whatever it was called was really good because it wasn't drummer thought out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was keyboard.
I know. I've thought about that quite a lot. Like somebody like Don Henley. I remember him doing stuff when it seemed to be when a drummer actually programs it, like Phil Collins. They do such a better job. I mean, I put all this crap into it that you know it's impossible to play. Yeah. Because obviously you need another pair of hands and 3 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
But I always liked it when a pro drummer actually programs a drum machine.
Well, it works both ways because there's the track Sons and Fascination. The drum beat on that is really, really cool, although it's something that I wouldn't have programmed.
I know.
So it works both ways.
Yeah.
It does. But the bass is always the bass, isn't it?
No, you can program that as well.
Yeah, because we had a wee bass line as well, if you recall.
Yeah.
I know you did. Pile of pish
on Waterfront.
I had to play over the top of it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
There was double track bass.
It was double. It was great. It was
how
really
prog
good.
rock can you get? You know.
I know.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Hey, Steve.
What's that?
I heard that you like Egg.
Oh my God, The Polite Force was my favorite album.
I saw them with who was it? I think it was fucking T.S. McPhee, the Groundhogs. I think it was the Groundhogs, Badger and Egg.
Yeah.
What was the one that Steve Hillage was in though? He played with him in that same tour.
He wasn't in Egg. Egg was a guy called David Stewart, not Dave Stewart.
I know, no, that's the
From
Dave
Eurythmics, you know. Yeah, no, I loved Egg. They, yeah. I was a prog rock guy before punk.
So was that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, well, I was a bass player as well, so
I know. I've seen that. Aye.
That's the thing.
You kept that quiet.
You two want to get a room?
No,
Get a room. Talk about prog.
Yeah, no, that's
Cheers
good.
for a cup of tea.
So we'll press on to what we done together, primarily Sparkle in the Rain and stuff. That recollection. There's been a couple of questions from people about Kirsty. Obviously, that's when we had our own certain tracks. I was actually trying to work out, apart from Speed Your Love to Me, what other tunes she was on. Can you remember what else she was on, Steve?
She was on the cover version. Not Judy Teen.
Oh, Street Hustle. Street Hustle.
But it sounded like I was singing Judy Teen then, didn't it? Street Hustle she was on, and I can't remember. I think it's on Wikipedia.
But she on 70 Cities or something like that. She don't do that.
Well, she'd always had these cool ideas that you never thought was going to come out for backing vocals and tracking. Yeah. She was the first person, I think, we had in the studio that who could track up on herself and knew what the outcome she wanted before she even started.
And it was amazing. And because she didn't have any vibrato in her tone, she could track up 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of herself. You wouldn't get that crazy wobble. You know, it was very pure.
Yes, like a Mellotron.
It was a bit like a Mellotron. You know,
Kirsty, a real life Mellotron, Kirsty.
Yeah. Oh, she was fantastic. And honestly, I honestly remember thinking during Sparkle in the Rain, because there was always this talk of Kirsty, you know, before she actually came to the studio, she was there would be the talk of, oh, what about Kirsty? Oh, no, not this weekend, you know. Well, and then when it came to the day that you said, well, let's phone Kirsty up to come and do some singing, she was literally in the middle of a dinner party with like 8 friends at her flat.
Oh, right. Wow. And
the phone call came to her and she said, guys, I've just had this call. I have to go. Stay here. Enjoy the dinner party. I'll be back later. I'll let yourself out or something like that. But from my point of view, I weirdly knew I was going to marry her before I even met her.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's so strange. I mean,
had you known about her before? Had you seen any of her work?
Yeah, but it's, you know, her music was so different to what we all were into. You know, we were all, but
we were signed to Stiff together. Kirsty, it was the one-off series of Stiff.
I wonder
the subs were the first one, and then I don't know if Kirsty was second or third, but it was Madness, and then Kirsty.
Right. Well, I was aware of her because I knew about Chip Shop and although I have to say, Dan, you're the bass player the bass playing in the bridge of a New England is some of my favorite that you've ever done. That's really fancy bass playing.
I know. I was there.
Oh, we didn't get to the bit.
Didn't get to the bit. Nearly there.
So that was great. That was a pop.
Yeah.
She was lovely, and
I don't know if you remember. I think it was after Derek and Wendy's wedding. You and Kirsty came back to my house when I was living with Hannah, and you had a cassette tape of demos that you and Kirsty had just recorded. Do you remember that at all?
No.
It was really late. We're kind of the sobering up stages, probably about 3 in the morning or something. I'd be sat in the kitchen.
And she was playing it to me, Mick, in the living room of my house. When we had the Raccoon, we had Rocky Raccoon there.
What was it?
there?
You remember the songs that was on it, Dan? What was the songs?
Well, it was Kite, wasn't it? Was it no Kite that she'd written?
Kite.
What about the cash, about the money? Was it something about the cash? I always remember.
There's always
there's something
called 15 Minutes. A song about
15 minutes
of fame.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, I couldn't believe the quality and the sound of this record. It was clear that this girl was a star.
Yeah, she was great, and I mean, her dad was a tough critic.
Yeah,
I remember when we finished Kite, her dad came round to listen to the album, and we had the studio at the house, and he came upstairs, and before we played it, said, "Kirsty, you have a copy of the text, please." So she gave and then I started playing it loud. He said, "Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down." So he sat there listening to the songs painfully quietly, and reading the lyrics and sort of going, "Oh, yeah, nice," and like that. And at the end, he said, "Well done, Kirsty, very good." And it sort of was weird because he had never ever praised her about anything she'd ever done before.
Yeah,
because he didn't have that blind love that you have for your children. Normally if you've got kids, I don't know, but you have you love everything they do because you love them. He didn't have that. And her brothers, who are very great musicians, never quite had that spark for being a songwriter because they were too scared that their dad would say it was no good. So they never really expanded as.
Did he come round to your house or did you go to his place?
No, he came round to our house and we played it in the studio. He was a great man, obviously, I mean. The
first time ever I saw your face, that was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Dirty Old Town.
Dirty Old Town as well,
Yeah, great song.
Amazing.
Anyway, so it was, I had a good 10 years with Kirsty, and the only time we never argued was when we were in the studio together.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, she definitely had her own mind. Because initially we used to think she fancied Derek, that. We always felt like...
Wow, who didn't fancy Derek?
Exactly. I even fancied
Derek.
Are you still a dab hand with cartoons as you used to be?
Oh, the Dan, your man with you with your hair and all that.
And the little packet coming out of my jeans pocket. That was brilliant. I mean, where were those things? I was talking to your man who's mysteriously putting the things on the screen, and we were saying that there are no photographs from those days, and that's probably the big difference in life now. Is that we didn't even think about, there's a nice drum kit set up in the stone room at the town. Let's take a photograph of it. Not even one photo of me with you guys. Do you have any studio photos?
I think we've got some photographs somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
So with Kirsty, anyway, I remember when they going out with Kirsty somewhere to a club in Glasgow.
Right.
So, I'll ask her. I'll need to ask.
See, before we leave Kirsty's, we've got a wee clip of her walking down Madison. Can we just play that a wee minute?
Oh, yeah.
Walking down Madison, I swear I never had a gun. No one ever shot, no one wouldn't do it just for fun. Walking down Madison, trying to keep my head screwed on. I was philosophizing, son, checking out the nuns. When you get to the corner, don't look at those freaks. Keep your head down low and stay quick on your feet. Oh, yeah.
Great track.
Yeah.
Good,
so I mean, Simple Minds, U2. Obviously, there's always been the thing with Simple Minds and U2. Obviously, you preferred U2, Steve, because you're the pal that.
And you took photographs.
Oh, well, there's also big country. I mean, the whole Celtic element of these guys with mental accents, which you didn't have a problem with at all, and still don't.
Well, because I have such a Celtic last name, don't I?
Yeah, that's right. Loch Lily, like.
I am the most un-Celtic person there is, but I've always had good luck with, the Pogues as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
Although they're not really Irish, but well, they are. One generation does not make you English,
Yeah.
Genetically, McGowan is as Irish as, was as Irish as anyone, even though he was born in London.
So did you feel you were being drawn to this sort of stuff rather than the London scene?
I love the passion you guys have. It draws out the passion in me, and I don't know. I just, as I say, I've worked on in total 9 U2 albums, in various different capacities.
Wow.
Only one Simple Minds album, and but I've learned a little bit from the singer why that is. And
why is that?
Well, a couple of interviews, he said, well, Steve Lillywhite didn't really push us. He didn't really push us with our songwriting. And it made me think, especially your little, I didn't see it was necessarily my job to put you in the songwriting. It was my job to take what you had at that point and make a great record,
Yeah.
So he was a little bit unfair. He didn't choose to praise the things that were good about the album. He chose to criticize the things that he felt were not good about it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
That's his.
There's such powerful tracks in it. I mean, for me, Catwalk was amazing. Obviously, it's got an amazing keyboard line in it, but the whole way it was crashing in, and Waterfront, they're amazing sounding.
My one criticism is that it never lets up. It needed, the 12-inch mixes, which I'm also very proud of. The 12-inch mixes of some of those songs, they had a chill section, and there was more of a dynamic. The album was just from beginning to end.
Well, no, I don't know. Look at White Hot Day with the wee bits that broke down in Easter. There was definitely elements of stuff in there, Steve. And I also think, if I could just throw in this, that out of all the producers, I was always pretty well prepared for every record that I came into. The amount of space that you gave to do what you liked was more than any other producer I think I've ever worked with.
Oh, thank you. Well, East at Easter is one of those top 5 moments in my whole recording career. I don't know, Brian, do you know the story of East at Easter?
I don't, Steve.
Okay,
I know the album very well.
Until let me set the scene. Okay, the last day of the studio was on the Sunday, but because of the way we'd been working, every day had gone on later and later, and we would start later, to the point that Saturday's session finished at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
I'm not surprised. I've been there.
Now, Monday's session didn't start till lunchtime Monday. So I said, okay, at 2 p.m. on Sunday, everyone come back here at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Still gives us 12 hours till Monday through the night. And we had one song to do, and that was Easter. And we everyone loved the intro, and I could see that everyone's sort of interest waned once the intro had gone. And it was like, I don't know whose idea it was, but we decided to just loop the intro 3 times. Now, in today's technology, that will take about a minute, right? In those days, we had to get another we had to link 2 24-track machines. We didn't have another 24-track in Studio 2. So we had to run down these cables to Studio 1 to
create a line
to copy it. I mean, it was a real, and then we just chopped the same thing 3 times. And then what I did was build it up by not having the drums at the front. So the first section was without the drums, but the drums played on all 3 sections. We just didn't use them. And then Jim, almost at the very end, went in and did a vocal. And I think he only did it 1 time. There's a couple of dodgy parts in the vocal as well, but it has this incredible feel of tension. And that's great about it, because on the original song, the tension just dissipated after the intro, and it turned into a sort of sorry to say, guys, a little bit of an average rock jam, you
Yeah.
know. Whereas that front was just beautiful and magical.
Yeah, it was also that count of 10. You had to count to 10 before you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ding, ding. Yeah, it was
No,
a kind of odd,
absolutely beautiful.
odd
track.
look.
It's just harmonics. It's harmonics in the bass, Steve. It was harmonics. I was doing it with my thumb and my finger. It just went dum 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 dum. And then it was bum 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 bum
Yeah.
bum bum bum
That's
bum.
that.
And it was just repeat.
It was.
That's
It,
my new.
that was.
That's
as
my.
I say,
That's my new T-shirt.
Bum bum.
Average
plus-
rock. Average.
Well,
rock
plus there was
jam.
the backward, the kind of drum thing that you had on Brass Band,
That
which was a
great.
kind of, that was taken
Band,
from
oh yeah. Well, I
the
should
other
have.
track, wasn't it? That was taken
Thank
from the other track.
I put
I
that
think-
whole thing together. You weren't
Yeah.
around, were you?
I know, see that's why I can't understand the criticism Jim's talking about when you've constructed half the stuff for us. Do you know what I'm saying? It almost like
Well, because you know, I didn't have the eye on the hit single for America.
well, if he's
No,
talking
maybe-
about then he
not-
pushes.
It's not
I don't
a-
agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, you were not ready for that, I think, at that time. And it was not the cool thing for you to do. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, I was just surprised that he chose to say the things that he didn't like.
Negative. Yeah,
Yeah,
the negative.
Rather than like, well, he could have said the negative and then say, but on the other hand, what a great sounding record. Or, you
Yeah.
know, there was things about it that were very spiritual and deep.
Yeah, I mean, Waterfront. The thing with Waterfront, I don't know if you remember this incident. Charlie and I, you liked it loud. There was a kind of enthusiasm is dead up to you because Charlie and I say to you, right, Steve, put it on the big ones and turn it right up, right? And we're sitting in the back of this couch with our ears cupped over to try and get it brighter. And you hit the play button and just ran for the door. I think we've got a wee clip. Hit Waterfront for the moment. We've got a wee clip of Waterfront and just do that with your ears.
Oh, my favorite drum fill. There is
I know.
These shit edits here. This guy's getting sacked, man. These are all shit edits, by the way.
I know.
I
Fucking
was wanting
hell,
to
man.
hear boom, bash, bash.
Vibe killer.
in the 12-inch. I looped that drum fill, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah.
Dun,
I know,
That's
no, it's
brilliant.
brilliant.
There's some
Take
backward
that.
stuff in it as well, Steve. Is there?
No, I don't think so. But I tell you what, the cymbal
Sounds kind of
sounds.
backwards.
No, it's just. I think we recorded the cymbals at double speed or something because they sound like real. They don't sound like. They're like
Yeah.
wonderful
Yes.
sounding cymbals on
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't sound. You know.
It's funny that when you're talking about the cymbal thing as well, because that was one of the things in the other records that you did with the Peter Gabriel stuff and that whole sound for the Townhouse, taking the cymbals out the mix so that you could push up the ambience. I take it, and you've not got a load of.
That was the whole thing. That's Mel did the cymbals separately and
Yeah.
and just did boom, bam, boom, boom, like you know.
So would he just hit nothing on the original track and then fill it in later?
Yeah,
He wouldn't,
well,
he wouldn't even hit anything, Mick. He would just keep playing the drums. He
yeah,
would go
but to
towards
start
the
with, a
cymbals.
lot of, if I would say to a drummer like Brzezicki, as well as Mel, like I would tell them, don't play all your parts, just play the tom-toms or just play the bass drum and snare. And actually it would take them a while because they've never dismantled their part. They know it all as one. So to start with, they would like put pads on the toms
Yeah.
and go like that, and then eventually get the groove going with just the, you know, just taking out those bits and then putting just those bits in without the bass drum and snare drum.
Yeah.
Yes, they became good at it. Mel became great at doing that, you know, but to start with, it was something like they, you know, doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, the hair was going a little bit funny there. Is it look all right?
That's all right now.
I was bringing that on to the Peter Gabriel thing because remember, Brian, when we did the tour with Gabriel, they had no cymbals on the record. I'm thinking that's what they did. They just didn't bother putting the cymbals back on later.
Probably.
Right at the very beginning when I was interviewed by Peter for that album, and remember, I was like, we recorded in 80. Was it 83 or 84? 84, yeah.
Probably your guess is good, better than mine.
Yeah, okay, because I first took Kirsty out.
Yeah, 83 it was.
Bonfire Night of 84. No, was it 83? Are you been told?
Yeah.
By...
I'm being told by the man in my ear it was 83.
Man of mystery.
Captain Scarlet.
I outed him actually, didn't I? He said, "Don't ever say my name," and I.
the other guy.
Mystery. So, where was I? Yeah.
Peter Gabriel said about the cymbals.
Yeah. So when he called me up and said, I thought it was a joke because Peter Gabriel came from a different generation. Because in 1980, it was like he was in Genesis. And, it was great that he invited me to produce his record, but it didn't seem real, But eventually I met with him and he was great. And, in those days, if someone is only like, ask the man how old Peter Gabriel is.
He's old. He's about 8 to 9 years older than me. So he's in his 70s.
Yeah, early 70s. I'm 70, and I think Peter must be...
We're all 60s, 67.
You're 68. I'm good on 69.
Yeah, Gabriel's about 75 at least.
Hang on, let's find out exactly.
He's older than me.
He's 75.
He's 75. Yeah. Well, he's 5 years older than me. Now, at that age... Brother. Yeah, well, at that age, it's as much uncle as it is brother. Yeah. Because 5 years is like a big percentage of the whole. When I was 20... how old was I in 1980? I was born in 55. So I was 25 and he was 30. Now that, 5 years now feels nothing.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, there was definitely he was from a different musical culture to me, but it worked out really good. And he was, I'm just wondering whether the reason for the cymbals not existing was taken from that because we want to get a big room sound, and they thought, we don't actually need cymbals anymore. I have been experimenting with that same thing on Susie and the Banshees' first album,
right?
Of doing even on Hong Kong Garden, I did the cymbals separately. That's mainly because Kenny Morris, God bless him, as much that he couldn't play as well, so I had to do it in 2 go. No, that's not true. but we did. Yeah. But he was brilliant.
He's a great drummer.
Yeah. But so I'd done the cymbals separately, but I hadn't worked in a room like Townhouse Studio 2. That was, but that room had been there for ages, and no one had really pushed that room in the way that I did. People say, "Oh, who invented that sound? Was it Phil Collins or Hugh Padgham or?" But I would say without me pushing that envelope of ambience, then it wouldn't. It wouldn't have happened.
Oh, it was massive. It was the whole Townhouse sound was a huge thing at that period, and that's why I think when that initial entry for Up in the Catwalk, I'm just trying to push Up in the Catwalk in there because I want to hear your guys play a bit of that. Let's hear. Yeah, Mel's really got the groove there with the side stick as well. The way he plays that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing about that track. See the bass line, the verse. That was Mel. Mel had picked my bass up and was going bum 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 bum. He did that whole bit. No the changes, but it was the verse.
Yeah, he got the
That's
groove.
where I got it from.
I forgot that we'd even done it on Top of the Pops. I didn't realise that was even.
I
a
didn't
single.
realise it either.
Bloody hell, that's the first time I've seen that.
I wonder why you can't remember.
Jim was really skinny in those days, wasn't he?
Well, that's the other thing as well, Steve. When you were so young looking, you always looked like a schoolboy, and you looked younger than all of us at that
Right.
period of time. You know, even though you were probably just a couple of years older, but you looked like
Yeah,
you
well,
were.
how old are you? Come on, let's out it. How old are you, Mick? I'm
I'm
70,
66.
66. You're younger than Dan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. I'm 68, but I'll be 69 in June.
Right. So this is your year, yeah. Yeah, I was 70 couple of months ago, so
Yeah.
it's great. I mean, you know, you feel a bit shit.
Well, you feel
you-
like an old uncle, Steve.
Well, yeah, but the weird thing, I was talking to some people today about this, the idea that I don't feel that I'm the same person who made those records. I feel like I'm this guy who, I mean, I know I did, and I can talk eloquently about it and stuff, but it's almost like I'm talking about someone else, because
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'm that guy who lives in Bali, you know.
Look at that rebel with his feet on the board.
I know, I love that. There was a SSL did a coffee table book of all the producers, and I was, you know, and I wanted to really, for some reason, I always wanted to put my feet on the board because it was punk, you know, and I always, yeah, that sort of thing. It's just because I punk rock was probably the difference between punk rock music and punk rock attitude is probably diametrically opposite. Punk rock attitude transcends all forms of music because we had it on Sparkle in the Rain. We had that punk rock attitude. Punk rock music is pretty shitty, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's like got no melody, it's got no beauty and grace. But you can have all those things with punk rock attitude. And you know, anyway, that's my theory for today.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it.
You understand that, Derek?
Yes, aye.
Wait.
There I am. Yes,
Okay,
Bob.
name. Oh God. Oh, looking at Bono's hair there actually reminded me of Mike Peters. And
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was sad, wasn't it?
that's sad. Very well. He lasted. He had a fantastic time. But you can remember, yeah. You know everyone in that picture, right?
That's his
Yeah.
wife, isn't it? That
Yeah, that's Ali.
Ali. Aye.
Ali and that Dave
Dave-
Stewart.
Dave Stewart's a character. Isn't it? Did you work with them? Did you do stuff with?
No. I love the fact that Dave Stewart could never get arrested for anything except for urine.
He was-
And he was so lucky because
I tell you, if I was a cop, I would have arrested them for nothing.
Yeah. Have you ever spoken to him? He has.
Oh, I did. I've met him a few times. In fact, I did some stuff with him in the studio in Los Angeles, and he was a total nutcase.
Hold
We
on.
were in
Steve,
Australia.
Steve,
We were in
Steve,
Australia on tour, Mick.
Ah,
repeat
that's
that,
right.
Repeat
We
that.
toured
Steve.
with them.
What did you say, Steve?
He has the world's quietest voice, and he always is.
Yeah.
He's really quiet when he talks. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, the Eurythmics records were great, but she is an absolute, you know, like
Aye.
brilliant.
She's
Annie
very-
Lennox. Come on, there's not many.
Diva was appropriately titled for that one, wasn't it?
Oh God, I did one song with her, and it was for an Red Hot and Blue. It was a charity album, and it was great. It was everyone doing Cole Porter songs, and she came in the studio, and she was brilliant. And her mum came down, and I said, and her mum was in the studio, and God, I haven't ever told this story, I think. And she said, I said, well, oh, you're in Hampstead, you can go and do some shopping. Because, oh no, I'm just a dinner lady. It's like she couldn't go shopping in Hampstead. It was too fancy. I'm just a dinner. Apparently her mum was a dinner lady.
Was she from Aberdeen or was she
Yeah, she was
Aberdeen.
My accent was not
Yeah,
indicative.
that sounded like she was from somewhere in Eastern Asia. No, it made me think. Remember, you were working with the Rolling Stones in Right Tracks in New York,
Yes.
and I
That's
went
what-
into I went in the lift one time, and Keith Richards was there with his mother and her boyfriend, and it was just
She
an old
must have been
woman.
old.
And an old man stood there, and I'm walking into this lift, and Keith Richard, he's like that, and he was so polite and so nice. He didn't even know who I was, but he introduced his mother to me.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is my mum and her boyfriend. That was the weirdest thing in my life.
That's fantastic. I mean, the great thing about Keith, is that he's the only person I've ever been with. Like, if I met with you and we went out for dinner and someone said, have a photograph, we'd all go like that. Keith made a point of if anyone wanted to take a photograph with him, he'd always go, because that was his
The Stones persona.
It's trademark.
actually.
Yeah.
And he was never quite as fucked up. And that's the great thing about Keith, is that he never let the lifestyle overtake his love of music. And I'm not a huge fan of Keith for a lot of reasons, but his love of music was always more than Jimi Hendrix, because he didn't, when he felt himself getting drawn towards too much of the dark side, his love of music stopped him. And you've got to give him kudos for that, because he's still around.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, it's been a tough life for him, isn't it?
No.
I don't know how he's still alive. Blood transfusion.
Well, he's still alive because he didn't ever do it to the point where he felt like he was going to, he didn't love it more than the music. He always loved music.
Everybody else thought he was going to be dead apart from himself.
Yeah, and he's a clever boy, As I say, he would put it on a little bit because he was the Keith Richards thing. Did you see that Anita Pallenberg documentary?
No.
Oh, you should look it out because it's really good. It's almost like she had as much influence on the Rolling Stones as anyone.
She was with Brian Jones.
With Brian Jones to start with, and then when she was with Keith, what Mick Shag? I think Mick had a go.
Mick Shagger.
Yeah, I think so. But she was the sort of bohemian person that made the Stones who they were. Weirdly, they were sort of middle class. I mean, not so much Keith, but Mick was definitely sort of middle class, and it was only the sort of freeness of Anita, that suddenly realized that they could do what they wanted. It's a great documentary.
There was another incident. I think it was Ronnie Wood's son was in the studio and he picked up the telephone. It was in a wee area in the Right Track studio where there was a TV and cups of tea thing, and he must have taken this call and was cheeky to whoever was on the other side. And Keith got wind of it, and it was a call for him. And he came back out and grabbed this young fella. He must have been about 17, very, very posh private school. He pinned him up against the wall by the throat. And he says to him, if you ever speak to anyone like that again, I'm going to change your face.
He was
like, wow.
Keith was very much the sort of, I mean, he was a bit misogynistic with his women, but he was never unfaithful. It was like, that's my woman, but she has to be my woman. Whereas Mick was always like looking everywhere and, like this.
Yeah.
Keith was, but he wanted his dinner. It was very disciplined in a lot of ways. Yeah. Well,
Is that a euphemism?
Yeah. No, shepherd's pie. He loved shepherd's pie. I'm playing dominoes.
You like pie?
Right, anyway, listen, I think we should take some questions. I'm just looking at a question here that I've got to ask you, Steve, because I know you're kind of bass at heart, and I know you're a Derek Forbes fan, really, but the question comes from a guy called Gary Emery. Who's the better bass player, Clayton or Forbes?
Oh,
or Lillywhite.
All right, okay, you can throw yourself in there.
They're completely different, but Adam is the best boom 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 bass player in the world, whereas Derek can do boom boom boom, probably not as good as Adam, but Derek can do a lot more.
That was very, very diplomatic.
Adam,
fantastic.
Yeah. So honestly, if you want the dun, 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 you know, he does it great. Derek could do it with a little bit more of a, you know, a little bit higher up maybe, you know,
Right.
whereas Adam would be a little bit further down, a little bit, you know, grimy.
And Derek would probably add a flanger to it.
There's a touch of Mark King
We've
about
got
it.
to stick a flanger in to mask the mistakes.
Yeah. Is there a touch of Mark King about Dan?
Oh no,
No.
he's a drummer. Mark King, brilliant bass player, but no, really, he's more a
No.
drummer. They were all drummers, that band.
That band.
I-
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
Level 42 were drummers, so we're on, that's how it's rhythm.
I thought they were shit.
I was a fan, but Mark Brzezicki played the Prince's Trust, and
Right.
it was Mark King and the Brzezicki.
Yeah.
Said they were asked to play. Clapton said to them, "Do it." Basically, it's just a 12 bar, and he's going like that to Mark, to the other Mark. He said, "I don't do these things." He said, "Where do I go?" Whatever. He was kind of lost as to doing a 12 bar, some of
Right.
the blues stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, Adam Clayton had bass lessons after the Joshua Tree because he didn't understand the 12-bar sequence and things like that. None of
Yeah.
them do. That's why they don't like jamming. They're not. And you came from jam. You know, all your songs came from jams. In
Yeah,
those days, they you know, yeah. I mean, they're different now, you know, and they've learned, but Adam still needs to really know. He doesn't think like a musician, which is both a good and a bad thing.
no.
Yeah.
His garden's lovely. Have you seen his garden?
Oh, have you? I saw the
Incredible.
TV show. Yeah, yeah. They've done.
Dainsmore, that's the name of his place, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of his places.
So
yeah.
there's another thing, Darren Catterall. How did he come up with the 12-inch mix? How did you come up with a 12-inch mix of Speed Your Love to Me? It's amazing.
Yeah,
So do you remember doing that mix?
yeah, I did well, it all was around the time when record companies wanted extra content,
Yeah.
you know, and people would do dance mixes. But I'd never been to a club. I didn't know what a dance mix was. But what I loved doing was chopping the tape and making something out of the song with a different way, you know, more my way of looking at the song rather than me trying to service the song to its best ability. This was me having a bit of fun, putting my influence on it in a way that disregarded any sort of need for it to be a certain length or commercial, you know.
So you just have felt your way through it as you brought the stuff up, really?
Yeah, I would get a good intro and I would
Uh-huh.
work on, and sometimes my engineer, he would be editing like 30, 40, 50 edits on a song, you know. I mean, because there was, you know, for instance, when I that drum fill on Waterfront, that was like chop edited, you know, and those things take time, you know, but I love doing them. And as I say, Brass Band in African Chimes was completely, you weren't around when I put all that together. I just
I know. Let's hear a bit of. We've got that bit of Speed Your Love to Me, our man in with the terrible edit.
I couldn't sleep away last night. I'd love to hold, love to see the fires in motion, love to feel the free world time tonight. Run till we come on, till we be. Speed your love to me.
Yeah,
I'm
rocking.
loving this album. Oh my god! I know lots of people who swear by it as well. You know, it's their favorites. Yeah,
it's good. And I know you were touching on Brass Band there because that almost was a backwards reverby drum thing, if I recall, wasn't it?
That was
Aye.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got anything for that. So you're sacked back there.
Sack him again.
Okay.
This is all a little bit. Sorry.
More questions, Mick.
More questions, right? Okay, let's see what this one was. What was your first impression of the Glasgow lads? Who was the best out of the Lash? Lee McKinney. What was the first impression of the Glasgow lads? Who was the best out on the Lash?
Of Simple Minds.
I'm guessing that is, yeah.
Who's the most?
Derek Forbes. And Derek had this thing, you know. I mean,
that's because I wasn't in the band, Steve.
You came up to the Barrowlands and saw us, didn't you, Steve? Did you come to some gigs up here?
Yes, I did come to the Barrowlands, but my biggest memory was actually not a Simple Minds gig. It was a Big Country gig on New Year's Eve, because that was when I proposed to Kirsty.
All right.
But at midnight, after Big Country then left, and we all went to Jim's house and were hanging out with the Minds, and that wonderful Scottish tradition where everyone has their front doors open and you just go to anyone's house. It was wonderful. Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing you at Barrowlands as well.
Yeah.
It was. I think I was there for the making of the. It may have been the gig where you made the video for Waterfront in the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, if you remember that, that's what it would be. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was there.
You were there, yeah. And then they filmed everyone running in.
Yeah.
That was great. That was, you know, so you saw everyone race to the front. That was pretty
Yeah. Here's another one from a Ben Barkley. If you could create a 5-piece supergroup from everybody you've worked with, who would be in the band?
Oh my God. Oh, that's such a deep question, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet I'll be the drummer, Steve.
You would be the drummer, of course, even though I've never worked with you.
But I'd be programming, I wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, well, that would be good. It'd be in time then, wouldn't it?
Hey!
Yeah.
I suppose in reality, the best drummer if I've been asked this before, you know, I've worked with some great drummers, and Mel is right up there, but I would give Phil Collins the nod as a drummer. The great thing about Phil Collins is that he can be Ringo and he can be Simon Phillips, you know, and he can be
John Bonham.
50 Ways to Leave Your Lover and John Bonham. I mean, that's, you know, that's, yeah. So he really at his peak, and he's not a well man anymore, so he doesn't drum. But no, at his best, Phil Collins was brilliant. I mean, I don't know many keyboard players, so I choose Mick McNeil.
There you go. What about a guitarist? Who'd be the guitar?
Oh, you know what? I love Charlie's playing, but what I loved about Charlie's playing, he wasn't the edge, because he was never at the front. I always use this as an analogy. He wasn't at the front of the stage. He was like a winger in football terms. He was like, you know, the way I looked at Simple Minds was the keyboards and Charlie were these sort of, was this dome on top of the sound. You didn't quite understand. They would mesh so well together, the keyboards and the guitar, but neither of them was necessarily a front instrument. The front instrument came from Derek. You know, honestly, it was that standout bass and the vocal. So so guitar player, probably Edge. You know, Edge, just because Edge spends so much.
Worked with better guitarists than Edge and Charlie. Come on.
Well, better. You see, for me, I would not.
More enjoyable.
I wouldn't put Clapton, Beck, any of those old school guitarists as being great, because for me, playing a guitar is only 50% of what you do. The sound is another 50% of what you do. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, probably my favorite guitar player, I've never worked with him, is Brian May, for that reason. Because his tone, and he's all different on every song, and it's brilliant. You know, Edge has got that, you know.
Yeah. And what about the vocals? Who'd be singing?
Oh, you know what?
No comments, lads.
Jonah Trading.
Chris Cornell.
All right, Chris
So there's
Cornell.
no girls in this band.
What's that?
No girls in this band. I'd have gone for Joan Armour Trading.
Oh yeah, well she was fantastic, and I would have Kirsty on backing vocals.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Kirsty on backing vocals. Who haven't I chosen? I've got drummer, bass guitarist, keyboard player. You know, all the Pogues are great. I mean, and all those instruments that they play, all those, you know, I mean, Terry Woods on Cittern was great, and they had a lovely. Did you know them much? Did you ever come across them?
No, never really.
I met some of them.
It's kind of my thing as well. I've actually just done a track with Bruce Watson like 2 days ago.
Oh,
So-
give him my love, please.
Well, I'll be talking to him later on today. I'm just playing some accordion. He's got some fiddle and accordion, and it's kind of going down that kind of traddy sounding big country road. Obviously, Stuart's not with us anymore, but
No, and I spoke to him a few weeks before he died. And,
Yeah.
and he said to me, Steve, I'm an alcoholic and I'm going to a meeting. And I went, great. And then he decided to, you know, he didn't stay sober.
did he not go to the meeting?
He went to the meeting, but then he fell off the wagon. And in 5 weeks, he was in a hotel room in Hawaii committing suicide.
I know, it was tragic, wasn't it?
It was found in a cupboard, I think. It was in a cupboard with all the stuff that was in there. He was drinking.
I went to my first meeting
That's
28 years ago, Steve.
Oh, really?
28 years sober.
Well, I'm weirdly, I don't know if I'm California sober now, as they would say.
Right, what's that?
That's a lie.
That's on a Tuesday.
No, I haven't had a drink in 15th of May, 1997.
All right, well,
What's your date?
96, June to 96.
Oh, June 96, 15th of May, 1997. Yeah, so I did a good 25 years of nothing. And
Yeah.
now I'm at an age.
I haven't had a drink in 28 minutes.
No, I don't think I'd have a drink, and I wouldn't do the white, you know. But
No, me, I know. I don't touch.
you don't touch that.
No, I take drink. I'll drink red wine. And shit
You drink
like
red
that, but
wine, yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
drink anything. I can take it or leave it.
Look, I'm at that point in my life where I'm just looking at the last maybe 5, 10, 15, if I'm lucky, years. And
Yeah,
how
me
I
too.
want- this is the thing, boys. When you get old, you have a choice. And the older you get, the more this choice becomes apparent. Certainly to me, is you have the choice to become a grumpy old man, or you have the choice to become a wise old man.
Otherwise, it's the one I would love to choose.
Yeah,
I'm a bit grumpy at times.
More and more difficult. It's more and more difficult to choose being wise because little things in aches and pains, and you get grumpy. It's more, you become a grumpy old man. I want to, but I also want to have that childish enthusiasm that we all had when we worked together in 18.
Yeah.
And I love that. Because when you look at sort of Buddhist monks, they have this childish thing about them. They're wise beyond belief, but they oh, he's fucked off, has he? Well, thank you so much.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, mate.
I don't know why that is. It's lost. My internet's gone to shit here.
Your
But no, keep
philosophy
talking.
was born-
I'm
your
still here. I can
philosophy
still,
was born in,
I
Steve.
can hear you. Still, I love it. Just keep going, Steve.
Yeah, no, just the child. I do believe if you can keep that childish enthusiasm for what you do, I think it'll keep you fresh.
Yeah.
Not
Do
that
you do much exercise, Steve?
You know what? I've got I've got flat feet, and I literally just. It sounds so un-rock and roll, doesn't it?
So have I. I've
Yeah.
got flat feet.
It's terrible, and I've got insoles,
To
and
go
I
with
had
your flat nose.
and I had an injection just yesterday, actually.
Are you in pain?
Well, it's a 6-month steroid injection into my ankle because literally my foot. If you look at me, it looks like I'm a duck.
My dad was born like that.
Yeah.
Steve, my dad was like that
Oh, really?
because the pregnancy was hidden by my grandmother. and then he had to get, when he was 2, he had to get them
Oh wow, that's
6
crazy.
bones out of each foot
Yeah.
to straighten them.
Well, there is an operation for flat feet where they can actually. I've got this ankle doctor in London who I saw the other day, and but the thing is, it's like 6 weeks of no walking,
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But I don't walk at the moment. And of course, if I don't exercise and I don't walk, I'll probably won't live so long. So the easier choice was the injection, which I had the other day. So I'm good for 6 months. But it may be in 6 months' time, I will have the operation. So I'll be back to London, which I'm loving the UK at the moment. Is the weather nice up in Scotland? I see the sun.
Absolutely scorching up here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no, I live in Bali, as you know that. Yeah, Mick knows that.
Yeah.
And it's, and the sun is so hot that it's scary. So you never actually go in the sun. But here, just to stand with the sun on your face.
Vitamin D.
Yeah, vitamin D. But in Bali, I can't do that because I'll be burnt in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
It's
the same sun, Steve.
It is the same.
one.
Well, yeah, I know. Damn.
You get the arse end there, we've got the front. I think that's
Yeah. Good.
Okay, listen. I'm back in. Let me. You want any more questions, or is there anything else you want to kind of talk about? Let's see. We've got something.
So, hello, guys, from the beautiful west coast of northern Scotland, up in Lochaber. My question to Steve, and also to Derek and to Mick as well, is regarding the song Speed Your Love to Me, and that very, very long, beautiful outro, fade out, whatever you want to call it. 90 seconds, is it? Something like that. It might even be pushing 2 minutes of that one hook over and over again. The question really is, basically, was that always planned to be that long an outro? Because it is one of the best things Simple Minds ever did, in my opinion.
Actually, to unpack what he said the best thing you ever did was how it finished. Was when it finished.
That's the outro.
That was the best thing you ever did.
Yeah,
We were famous for outros.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, in general, I didn't like songs that faded out because it implied that the songwriting wasn't finished. So, it gave the impression that it was not a song. So I would always try and get my artists to put a button on the end of a song.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said about the artistry of a great fade out, and Americans, you see, they don't think about the fade out. For them, the song's over and it's like American fade takes about 3 seconds, whereas we were always about squeezing the artistry out to the very final moment. And as you're fading it out, you push some things up to get, and it was great. I tried to see the creativity and the artistry in everything, including the fade out. So the answer
New England, the fade out, that's
So,
wonderful. It just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah, but some records don't work with that long fade out. So my answer to the question is that you do what you hope serves the song the best.
Yeah, and again, when you take that from to live, and you've got a kind of la 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 at the end, those fade outs will just go on forever because you've got the audience singing along, and then the whole thing kind of goes on forever. So listen a bit.
Okay, my question to you guys: put that picture back up. Which member of that 5-piece band along the front looks the most different now?
All right. Okay.
Man in the middle.
The man in the middle.
But I mean, Mel's obviously kind of completely lost all his hair, but
but black people always look good bald, don't they?
And I've got a beard.
I would probably say Jim as well.
You look very much the same, Mick. I mean, pretty good. I haven't seen a picture of Charlie for years.
No, I mean, Charlie's just he's always kind of struggled on being a wee bit porky.
Right, okay.
He looks like Reg Barney.
I don't think that's a good picture at all there. See me with that waist. They used to call me Horse Cartwright with that waist jacket and belt. Bonanza.
Horse Cartwright.
Yeah,
That was
the
my
thing is
gay days.
about all of these. They're a
Okay.
bunch of happy boys. They're really happy.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think Dennis got a bit too much makeup on in that one.
I like that though.
By Alan, he likes that.
Yeah. I mean, it is sore when all these pictures come back. Obviously, there's lots of pictures that are available. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
but we never had any pictures
the son of
of
my coop.
me with you guys. There's
No, I know. That's a real downer, that. I wonder why that is.
I'll ask Wendy, see if she's got them.
Can you ask if have you?
I will.
Do you remember seeing photos of Sparkle in the Rain? I would love if you've got anything, because I'm making a documentary at the
Right.
moment of my career.
Uh-huh.
There's this friend of mine in Bali who's just obsessed with what I've done, and so far I've done about 45 hours of interviews with him, and
Right.
I'll send it to you. I don't have Derek's WhatsApp, so but
Right.
maybe do you use WhatsApp, Derek?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. We've got a group chat.
I'll send you the little link because it's
Right.
it's not finished yet, but it's
Right.
Yeah.
you know, I've done bits about everyone, but I would love a picture of me with Simple Minds in those days.
Yeah.
There must be some of them.
I can't even think that I've
If there isn't, we'll just do it with AI, Steve.
Yeah, well, there's we have this friend of my director who has this company who's the leading technology in making old photographs speak. So we're going to use that. We're going to take an old like that photograph of me like all the years ago and actually put my new voice on that face just for some silly ideas, you know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wendy, have you got any 40 go? Kirsty and
So here's a
Steve.
quick question here that looks quite good. Randy Lever, if you could go back to Sparkle in the Rain sessions with everything you know now, would you change anything, or was that album exactly supposed to be in that moment?
I would probably tone down that a little bit, just in places. I do feel that there could have been more. It's relentless to a 10, and you know, and that's what we were aiming for. But in retrospect, although having just heard those little clips,
Yeah.
you know,
Because you've also used the word sonically intense for that record.
it really is. It's yeah.
Full
I
on.
mean, it was recorded on tape, but it has a little feeling of being recorded on digital almost. You know, it's got that
It's
ridiculous.
hard and bright. It's really hard.
It's a very hard record, even though like the bass isn't lost. I mean, there's plenty of bass, but the middles and the tops are pretty intense. Yeah.
See a bit.
Berlin
Yeah.
110.
Wow, I haven't heard that. Did I
That's
do
a
that?
guy. That's a guy.
You done
called-
that?
Yeah.
Did I do that?
That was Book of Brilliant Things.
Look at brilliant things, yeah.
Was that the album version?
That's our friend in Berlin, Mick.
No, but he only did the visuals on it. There's no
You're not
remix
doing
on it.
No,
It's
no,
not-
no.
that's a track.
It was either the 12-inch or that was actual record.
That's just the front of it. That's the front of it.
Right. I don't know if there was a 12-inch of Book of Brilliant Things. Was there?
Yeah, I think
No.
there was. Well, ultimately, somebody must have done one. He may have just remixed that another version of it.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's no, but he did
Good
a
though.
longer version of it.
That
But
gave
that was the original. That's the original part at the start.
yeah.
Because I just
Well, that was a wee bass line thing as well, though. That was a wee sequence thing that we just copied.
I know there was I put a melody over that front part
Aye,
as well as that.
did
That
a
stuff.
shit bass line on it and broke it.
Shit, I just fucking ruined it. Let's face it.
That's teamwork.
I'll
Is
get
there
my
any-
coat.
Is there anything, Steve, that you look back at all the records you've made and thought, fucking hell, that's great. I'm really proud of that.
No, because I've always had this idea of, you know, once a record's finished, I tend not to listen to it, and I didn't, because, you know, if you listen to it, there's no way that you can change it, obviously. So you really only have a possible two reactions. One, you like it, and one, you don't like it.
Yeah.
And if you like it, there's the possibility of complacency. And if you do like it, there's the possibility of uncertainty. If you don't like it, there's uncertainty. And if you do like it, there's complacency. And I think uncertainty and complacency are two things that we try not to have. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be complacent, but I love being, you know, I don't want to be uncertain either.
I think, I think, Steve, you're proud of your work, but you're not happy with everything.
Yeah, I'm proud.
You're a perfectionist as well.
Yeah, now I listen back to some things. I you know, I get but then again, various different moods.
Yeah.
You know,
like if you're in a shop anywhere in the world at Christmas and you'll hear Fairy Tale, you must have flashes of fuck no that thing again, or this is great.
No, it's because the moment you hear Fairy Tale, it's the first sign of Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I'm really proud. I tell you what I'm really proud of is Kirsty's vocal on that, because
it's great.
So many people have sung that song, but no one has sung it as well as she does, because the nuance of the vocal, of her vocal during that verse is so it's not you think it's easy, but it's actually, you know, most people sort of sing it square. They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold. And it's not that. It's got cars big as bars, you know, and the swing,
the lilt
with the lilt on the vocal is absolutely perfect. And we spent a long time doing that vocal, and I'm really proud of that.
It's one of the only Christmas records I look forward to at that time of year. You dread to hear Mariah Carey, and then you hear Fairy Tale.
Yeah. Well, I it's funny. I hate Mariah Carey so much, you know, and but it's not.
Get out there, Steve.
Oh, poor girl.
The person who is compared to Mariah Carey, who I also didn't really ever think about,
Jim,
was Whitney Houston, who I have to say, now I listen to Whitney Houston, and she's probably some of the greatest recorded vocals anyone has ever done. I mean, Whitney Houston's singing is incredible. And when it came out, it passed me by, because I was, you know, was a, you know,
rock god.
Yeah, it was different. I wasn't into it, but now I listen to Whitney Houston singing, and it touches me in an amazing way. Brilliant,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right, here's one here we need to kind of wind this down. I think Mark Lucas. Right, what are your thoughts on the current Simple Minds music and the setup? Have you ever even looked at them, Steve?
I haven't. I mean, I don't listen to. I haven't listened to a lot of new music. Until I stopped working, I never listened to any music because I was always busy doing it. Now I've stopped music. I'm going back and listening to some things. You know, I make this playlist on Apple Music of the favorite songs that I liked when I was sort of 17, 18, and but new music by the old people. No, I don't. The only record.
That was a kind of round way of saying no.
Can I just tell you, the brilliant record at the moment is the Cure album.
Oh, yeah.
Their new album. I mean, it's absolutely, it's breathtaking. I was never a huge Cure fan, but this record, it's a man approaching a certain time in his life, and he's a very brave record, and he's talking about his life in the same way that David Bowie wrote, you know, that his last album about him.
Yeah.
It's
Black Star.
Black Star. This Cure album is fantastic, and but it's difficult at our age. That's why, you know.
That is difficult. That's why I think you should produce our next Christmas record. Because
I'll do it.
if we can come up with a Christmas idea, will you produce it, Steve?
That would be great.
Fairy tale and new potatoes.
Anyway, I think we should wind it down, but it's been absolutely amazing, Steve. Really brilliant to see you.
Yeah, it's
Bravo,
great to
man.
see you.
It's been
Brilliant.
wonderful to see you. Nice to meet you, Brian. Dan,
And
you
you,
look fantastic. Mick,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll need to
Wonderful.
keep in touch more.
yeah, keep in touch and give me Dan's. I'll send you my little.
We'll share
unfinished-
WhatsApps.
Yeah, share WhatsApp. Make a group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. I'm in an island right in the west coast of Scotland called Isle de Barra. Have you ever come up? You need to come up and see this place. It's fucking amazing.
It's on my bucket list to
Yeah.
come to Scotland because all those TV shows, you know, like even the religious one where they go the walks of the
Yeah.
of the saints.
It's called the Island Parish, I think you're referring to. Is it that one?
something like- I mean, I'm absolutely obsessed with that show and people walking around. You know, if my ankle gets better, even if it doesn't, I'll be able to come and visit. But I
Yeah.
would when I arrange my marital situation.
All
and
right.
I-
Okay.
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I'm right in the west coast, right
Does it-
the furthest west point
I
we
would
can
love to
go.
come up. I would love
It's the
to
utter Hebrides.
bring
Aye.
my partner and do a little tour of Scotland in the summer. It won't be this
Yeah.
summer, maybe next summer. Maybe I can come back. I can always do that. Do you ever get down? Do you ever come to London?
Wendy's going tomorrow. I was meant to come tomorrow, but I've got other stuff to do up
Right.
here. So
So what are you doing? I know you're doing your more traditional stuff, Mick. And what are you doing, Derek?
I'm just playing. Going out. I was out in Canada playing just the songs, Simple Minds songs, but of that era
Right.
that we were there. None of the new songs or the newer songs from before. But I've got
Right.
a band of 3 people,
Right.
myself and 2 other guys. So
Okay.
and this guys that played with China Crisis, 2 of them.
Oh yeah. Good.
Aye, and so we just go and do that.
Good. Excellent.
And I wrote a book as well, which you're in.
Oh, fantastic.
Uh,
All right.
Yeah.
You're not in it, Steve.
you
I'm
are
not-
in it. You are in it. Of course
Good.
it is.
I will.
I'll send it to you.
I would. Yeah. Well, look. Let's carry on.
Steve
conversation.
Lillywhite,
Yeah.
Indonesia.
In-
Bali High.
It would get to me. Yeah, it would get to me.
Okay, brilliant. All right, Steve.
Brilliant.
Thanks again.
See you
Wonderful
later.
to see you, boys.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's
Right.
a-
Yeah, thank you so much.
Right, okay, we'll see you later.
See you, chaps.